So there's a giant machine in the center of our economic machine. It is one of the expectation of gaining wealth. This machine is distributed amongst almost every major investor, almost every major player in the economic machine that we exist in. It is basically greed. It is the idea that if I do not get a certain high payback for my investment, then my investment is not worth it. Something like that, I think. And as a result, when the economy starts to go down, you have less investors. And when you have less investors, you have less industry. And when you have less industry, people start losing their jobs. And then suddenly you're in the situation where people start suffering. And it's not obvious how we always get out of that. It takes some time. It takes time for the trust of this greed machine. This greed machine has to believe, it has to trust in the rest of us that we will actually give it its due in order to give us the wealth we need to continue to make this machine run. Now, that is what it looks like to me. It's not the way it has to look, though. There's at least... Well, okay, I had another thought and I lost it, so I'll go with this one. There is a possibility, it's not a very large one, but it's at least a possibility. I don't know how we enact it. Maybe through something like collectively agreeing with the possibility. If we get enough people to agree with that the possibility can exist, then we up the stakes that the reality can exist. If people don't even believe in the possibility of the reality. Okay, let me back up. So there's the mere possibility, which is almost nothing. Then there is the belief in the possibility, which is something a little bit more. And then there is finally faith, something like faith, that it can actually happen, that we can actually do that. But that last stage cannot happen until the number of people who don't simply acknowledge a possibility, but believe in the possibility, have a kind of faith in the potential of faith. So you start off with the idea that I'm about to suggest. Then you get to people who believe that belief could happen, believe that idea could actually happen. And then once that number is large enough, it can actually become real. So you have to have faith in the faith before the faith can happen. All right. What's the idea, Matthew? All right. If we could incentivize the wealth seekers to seek a different kind of wealth than actual wealth, something like acclaim or status. Right now, status is partially tied into their wealth, but there's this strange status game of you get a little, well, I guess I won't go into the plateaus of status. It seems to me that there is a number of plateaus of status, but I won't go into that. Instead, the issue is that if we can incentivize the rich to have the right kind of status in mind when they go after wealth, this would be basically a a virtuous status, a statue of virtue. The Romans used to be given the privilege of buying themselves a parade. In other words, if you were a general that got enough wealth for the state to continue, then you were honored with the opportunity to spend some of that wealth on your own triumphal entry. I think it's an excellent example of what we need to do. Only instead of wasting it on bravado, all or most of the status is bought with redistribution. With actually making something beautiful with that wealth that everyone enjoys, something like that. It doesn't have to be everybody gets $1,000. It can be, what Bill Gates does from time to time, which is donate $1 million here and $1 million there to medical situations, resolving medical problems, bringing solutions to medical problems. I better stop. That's the gist of the idea.